Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Nalini Singh. I'm really happy to be here today. This would be my 8th or 9th joint exhibition. I've been painting for the past 5.5 years. So I'll just give you guys a quick run through. I grew up with my grandmother from day one, and art is something that I've always admired. I don't know if you guys could remember if you were ever in primary school, and there's always that one artistic child that you would look at and be in awe of and be like, oh my gosh, I wish I had that talent. And you always think that talent is something that was so inbred. And they're basically born with it. It's not something you cultivate until years later you realize any talent, even confidence, is a skill that you can work on. So I remember in primary school, I would just admire this particular person, and I always wish I had that. And it was only in Form 2 in art class. I remember our teacher, at the time art was compulsory, and I remember she gave everyone a side profile of a woman's face. And all that I can remember is taking my time, because I tend to be rushing into things, and I really took my time. And when I presented it to her, and even other classmates, they were like, this is not bad, this is really good. And I kept at it. And I remember sketching as a teen for 3 years. During that period, however, I showed a family member, because I really love that. Sometimes I would not do my homework just to sketch, which is not good, but I remember looking at a family member and approaching them, someone I admired a lot, and I said, and this is me being a teenager, I would like to go, Italy, this is my dream, and I would like to pursue art and, all those things. And I remember they looked at me and they said, why don't you be a seamstress? They make $8 sewing a button on a shirt. And I remember just being there, and I remember thinking to myself, okay, unfortunately I let that absorb and really settle within, and I did not do anything art-wise for 11 years. During that period, however, I focused on academia, and I pursued my degree in math and statistics in UWI. A couple other things as well I did. I love fitness. I remember while doing my degree, I would work multiple jobs. One of them being in the gym. And I really admired and looked at those persons who would work on the floor and stuff like that. And I did my accreditation in personal training. I love speaking. I remember I joined Toastmasters for a year and a half, and I finished my first year certification as well. So during this time, I did things that I was passionate about. But how I stumbled back into art was 2 days before Christmas. One of my friends made an apron for another mutual friend. And the friend that he made it for, her name is Kelly. And she's obsessed with Hello Kitty. So he made an apron that said, Hello Kelly, instead of Hello Kitty. And I remember thinking, wow, that's amazing, why not, do something with your hands instead of buying jewelry. Not that anything is wrong with that, nothing is wrong with buying a gift or taking someone out. But a very close friend of mine and I, that's all I would do, just go out and stuff. And I was thinking, why not create something? And that's what I did. I thought to myself, what can I create? And immediately I went back to my art. And this was the first time in years I was just taken back. In St. Augustine there was an art store. I'm not sure if they're still there, but I remember going specifically there. And I purchased 3 canvas paper. At the time it was $12 for one. A few different style brushes and paint. During that time, I just sat from 8 o'clock at night till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I painted Big Ben. Why Big Ben? Because the person who I painted for, she had interest of going to England to study. So I did that as a parting gift. And after that's over, I'm thinking to myself, here I have all these materials, what am I going to do? I'm not going to let it collect dust. Like I said, during the period that I took my hiatus off of art, I also started giving lessons right after high school. So I would work at a research center from 7 to 4. And then I would follow the accountant like a shadow, and she would give me a lift home, which is on her way home. And I would just start teaching a few minutes after 4 till 7 at night, until I realized giving lessons at home made more income than working all day for someone else. So I saved as much as I can, and I've been giving lessons. So I've always had that business mentality where if you have a skill, if you have a talent, you don't just not use it. And if it makes you happy, keeping it hidden, I'm 100% for that as well. Because we all, I'm sure, do things just for that mental escapism, and nothing at all is wrong with that. But I'm also aware of the age that we live in, which is digital. And I believe in really holding the internet by its horns and just going for it, because we can more than monetize. I've always never really liked teaching, but I started because I wanted to start UE that particular year, and I wanted X amount in my bank account. And if I were to save everything that I have, it will not accumulate to X amount. So that's why I started giving lessons, and I've always had that mental business-oriented way of thinking. And I know there are persons that are strictly into arts, and in order for them to have an art business, they would collaborate or they would partner with someone who's very business-minded. And I'm happy I love both. So having finished giving this piece to my friend, I'm looking at my pieces, I'm looking at my leftover canvas, my used brushes, and the leftover paint, which was a lot. And I'm thinking to myself, why let it collect dust? Continue. And that's basically the start of it. I have been painting ever since for 5.5 years. And I have no regrets. And I think if someone were to ask me where do I see myself in 5 to 10 years, honestly, when I'm 80 years old, once I'm blessed to reach that age, or even 100, all I want to do is just not take an hiatus from painting anymore. I think 11 years was long overdue, and people master skills in sometimes 11 years or less. You know, it's mentioned the 10,000 hour rule. And had I been consistent, I think, sometimes, I used to think like that. I used to think, if I had not taken the hiatus, where would I be right now? Probably international. But is it an impossible goal? No. During that 11 year, I think it prepared me mentally for where I am now. And I'm very, very fortunate. Roshell's Art will be the name of my business. Why Roshell? My grandmother named me Roshell. It was like a home name, pet name. Nalini Singh is my official name. And I always say, well, she has passed away, this year will make it 11 years. So kind of been on my own since. And I'm very, very fortunate, because when she passed away, the hardest thing was not, paying the bills, going to school, working multiple jobs. All of that was easy, because of the value she instilled in me. The hardest thing was missing her. And anyone that grows up with either aunt and uncle, grandmother, grandfather, there's a connection that goes so deep. It's like having both parents. I don't know, it's very deep. And I always say all that I am and all that I ever will be, I dedicate to my late beloved grandmother. I am very grateful for the people that I've met even along the way. They are gems. One of the lessons I believe I learned after her passing was being very selective in who you get close to, because that determines how far you reach in life. And I've always gone back, even when I'm explaining my pieces, my little pieces that at the end, I find myself storytelling as I wouldn't say gardener, but storytelling as someone who is sowing seeds in the soil. One of my first jobs was working at Sugarcane Feed Center. It's a research agricultural center, and there are different stations. So there's abattoir, pig abattoir, all the other abattoirs. There's the aquaculture section where they deal with fish, and then there's the crop section. And I remember they placed me there because I would be on rotation. So you're not just thrust into one specific unit, they want your hands to be dirty in all the different areas. So you have a holistic way of thinking when it comes to agriculture itself. So, and then finally, I did, I guess, a okay job where they put me to work in the lab. But prior to that, one of my experiences that I could recall so vividly would be working at the crop section. And I remember they said, okay, you're gonna work here for 2 weeks. Okay, no problem. So the person that they put me with is very unique, to say the least. His views on life is, very radical, he's very outspoken. But I really enjoyed his company. I remember one afternoon, they had us simply remove just the weeds around different parcels. Basically, it was very small bags with soil, and they would put one plant in it. And unfortunately, they'll have weeds around. So there would be an entire section way bigger than this stage, just rows and rows of those plants. So our job that day was to remove whatever weeds were around them. And I remember doing that, he would make his joke, he would say, you have to put pampers on the frog, because frogs leave their mess all over. So yeah, we would remove the whatever weeds around. Then the next day I came, I was in shock. I thought they removed all the bags that we were working on and they replaced them with seedlings that were bigger. Like, this made no sense. In just one afternoon, the seeds visibly, as far as I can tell, they grew. And that really spoke to me. When you remove the negative, toxic, sometimes people from your life, or even bad habits, you maximize your environment, you maximize your time. And, the reason why this plant was able to grow further faster, sometimes 1.5 times its size in a very short space of time, is because it's maximizing the soil nutrients. It's going to maximize the water content and sunlight. And so too, you're going to be able to maximize on your time, anywhere you think. And even what may seem as scrap material around the home, you're now having your alone time where your mind is settled and you're actually seeing creative ways in order to make use of whatever you were taking for granted all along. And I believe spending a lot of healthy alone time is also very important. One of the best relationships you can have is with yourself. And this piece right here, I don't know if you all can see it. It's called Compassion. And it looks very abstract. If you look closely, you can actually see the word C. See the letter C. The reason why I name it Compassion is because in life sometimes it's so easy for us to be compassionate towards a wounded animal or someone who lost a loved one or someone who's actually going through a rough time. And the last person you'll be compassionate towards is yourself. And I think it's so important beyond anything. Age is not even a factor. You could be 15 or 50. You could be 90 something, it doesn't matter. I think having that very intimate, very close, loving, caring relationship with yourself is so imperative towards, at the end of the day, you can't give something you don't have. And as much as we like to give and help and stuff sometimes, it's so unfortunate that we make ourselves the last person on the list. And I still suffer with it today. I would call it being hard on yourself. I remember even since primary school or even high school, I would do well and I would still beat up myself. There was one time I got 98% in a math test. And I was like, that 2%, And sometimes you tend to be like that. Unfortunately, our environment, because I don't believe those were the seeds sown from birth by ourselves. It has to come from someone. And when I started painting, a lot of my pieces, people would think are very, at least the storytelling and the meaning that I give it, people would be, they'll find it very interesting and very positive. What I believe contributed a lot to that was when I now started painting, I would listen to Coldplay, or I would listen to classical music, or any type of music that, let's put you in a good mood. You know how YouTube have those autoplay, where when one video finishes, it's stumbling to the other. It's Stumble Upon Les Brown. And for those of you who don't know Les Brown, he's known as a motivational speaker. And I was just in awe. And this was after my grandmother had passed away. So I started painting after she passed away. But I did sketches where she saw, and she would always say, yes, it's very nice, it's very good. So after she passed away, here am I coming home, and it's the only conversations you have is with yourself, really. And here it is, at least I am painting, because I'm looking at the image. I still often look at images, or I would compile different images together to make one image, to portray the story I'm trying to tell. And I would listen to, currently I would listen to like audiobooks, so I love learning, so I listen to those type of content in the background. But I remember listening to Les Brown, and he's saying things that you're more than enough. He's telling you things you don't even tell yourself. And also, if we're waiting on others to give us validation and encouragement, I think we have a really long wait. So I think all of that just boils down to the relationship you have with yourself. And even by listening to those things, it's not just feeling good, but it's seeds that I know I'm sowing in my subconscious. And it just gave me such a drive and a passion to be very consistent in my work. You can have talent and you can have great ambition, but consistency is what really compounds your success, I believe. And ever since I've always listened to it. I remember listening to Napoleon Hill, and his audiobook was like 11 hours, and I painted in parts, but I remember completing 3 paintings in that entire 11 hours. So I walk away with so much by listening to those things. And I remember one of the best books that I've read would be The Power of the Subconscious Mind, where they talk about, and that's my piece over there on the bottom extreme right, it's called awareness. And I akin it to this here gardener and a seed. Like your mind is the garden, but your subconscious mind is the seed. And you can't really laugh or make jokes about the things that you self-talk. You can't say, ha ha, I'm so ugly, I'm so stupid. Those are the messages you're embedded in your subconscious mind, and the subconscious mind don't have a sense of humor. So those are things you're actually sowing. And then sometimes you tend to be confused as to why certain things are happening the way it is. So I believe in having that very, very strong, intimate, positive, the kind of things you really want in your life, to have those seeds, continue to sow those seeds. And you don't just sow a seed and expect it to grow. You have to remove the weeds. There's so many different conditions. I even heard a farmer said, when they sow a seed, if it doesn't grow, they don't throw away the seed. They change the soil. And sometimes, life as it is, we have to change the soil that we have around us, the messages and our personal beliefs. And I believe all of those things are basically contributing factors towards one personal success and growth. My entire theme is supposed to be discovery, and one of the aspects of it was first of all, I've never known myself to be a painter and artist on the whole growing up. But I've never known to be someone who loves intricate, very detailed, small micro work. I stumbled upon Hassan Keel. He is an international artist, and he does such miniature work where one of his pieces, do you know the sulfur on a match grade? He painted Albert Einstein's face on it, and it's so intricate. And I just grew in love with it. He would take a pumpkin seed, and you'd see the entire grease on it, and I would be so amazed. I remember doing burpees in one of my storage rooms at home, and there's a bag of, like a grocery bag, half of it being filled with chip seeds, chip shells. And I remember earlier that year I wanted to get rid of it because it was just taking up space and I had no use for it, right? And I remember something told me, no, don't throw it away. And I kept it. So while doing burpees, my eyes just glanced at it, and immediately it's like two worlds just combined. And I remember Hassan came, and I kept looking at the shelves, and that's when this came about. So all of those are basically micro work. I could have the tongue being passed around. The first one that I've ever done would be this one right here. It's Maraca speech. So if anyone wants to have it, they can pass it around. Yeah. So you guys have a more closer look at it. So some are local scenes and some are silhouettes. So some of these silhouettes you'll actually notice is very whimsical. That's how I started painting on acrylic on canvas. I would start very whimsical pieces where the center of it would be like the moon, and then I work my way out to where it's very dark. So yeah, I did that, and then I continued to see how small can I go. At one point I painted a sapodilla seed, I painted Hyatt. The seed, unfortunately, I was so accustomed giving my pieces, my very small intricate pieces, a clear coat. I know better now, I give it a clear coat of acrylic. I forgot the name of it, but it's basically something to pour over canvas work as well. But at the time I would use nail polish. And clear nail polish did give it not just a clear coat, it made it very foggy. So if I have to do it over again, I will not apply that particular nail polish. I also started, now we know that the 1 cent is no longer legal tender, right? So the 1 cent coins, I started painting on them as well. So you guys can have a look. So one is a resemblance of Carney, and the other, which is both, has a resemblance of Shagaramas. I'm obsessed with Shagaramas, if anybody that knows me. One time, this was during my break for uni, I just picked up one of my friends, and in 2 days, I just drove there, and I'm from Central, I just drove there 4 times. Yeah, it's just a change in scenery and just looking at the water. I think it more than calms me, it's motivating, it's inspiring, and you believe water is like a living, breathing organism. So it really does, it does something to me where when I go back, anyone that browses through my Instagram or Facebook page, Roshel's at, if you were to really go back to my earlier work, you would see 2 things, a lot of imagery with water, and a lot of imagery with sunsets. There's actually a piece I did where it was a sunset and there was a lake, and I dedicated that piece to my grandmother's passing. Why so? Because just like a sunset, in its disappearance, it leaves a spectacular view. So too when you lose a loved one, the way they made you feel and the lessons learned, even though we no longer see them and it's their physical disappearance, everything in terms of their personal storytelling, the lessons learned, and the beliefs that they imparted on us leave a spectacular view. So, and yeah, I think that's basically my discovery of art and my journey thus far. I'm nowhere close to where I want to be, but I'm very, very happy with, as each year goes by, the place where I'm at, not just in terms of certain probably skills in terms of improving, but my mental state and the person that I'm becoming, I am very, very happy about that. And even those simple things as one line as it is to say, sometimes it takes someone years to actually reach that point. And I'll just probably mention one of my pieces that is there, the one higher above. It's called Omission, and it basically, again, it talks about omitting whatever is negative or toxic. You know, sometimes unfortunately, it will come from your immediate family or your closest circle, or even a bad habit. But don't be dismayed, because those things are there, and just learn as much as you can from it, but also value yourself. And I think when you start to value things, even the things that you eat tend to be differently. So, start from a place of really trying to understand your worth. Focus on being more aware of your self-talk. I agree that it is the conversations you have with the universe, and I believe everything that you do is a work of art. The way you drive, people will know what kind of mood you're in, right? Every single thing you do, the way you dress and the way you take care of yourself, the way you walk, every single thing I believe is a work of art. And I believe in every single detail. You definitely hold your brush and paint away. So that's basically it. Oh, and if anybody wants to ask any questions and stuff.
Any questions?
Anytime this year, I don't know.
I have a question. What else besides shells and coins do you plan on painting on?
On miniature?
Yeah.
I don't know, I think anything that you give me ideas. What else do you think I could? Probably miniature.
Well, you mentioned pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, like seeds. Yeah, I don't mind.
Seeds.
Bottle caps.
Bottle caps. Yeah, for
Maybe
sure.
stones.
Stones. Yeah, or like miniature pebbles. Yeah. Oh, I think Hassan Kale, he painted on a granule, on a sugar granule. He painted
Wow.
the flag of Turkey. So maybe I should try that, but it might just be one blot for now. Yeah.
I have a question. The artist you're referring to, you guys saw the work obviously, and we looking through some sort of microscopic. You had to have some sort of
He
visual
did.
assistance.
Yeah.
Do you?
No.
So would you maybe think about applying that so that you could actually
Work on that? For sure.
Yeah. So to be able to do something like a portrait, like we have with Albert Einstein,
Correct.
Roshell.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I need to invest in that for sure. And it's funny you should mention that, because when I started painting on shells, I never wear glasses. I need glasses even to drive. So yes, I need to invest in that. But I think what I had back then too was poor lighting. As soon as I improved my lighting as well, yeah. So for sure. Yeah.
Hi. I like, my favorite is the maraca scene on the shell. I was wondering what gives you your inspiration, because I know each piece is going to be very different, not just the shells but everything you paint. So what really inspires you? I remember you said that you listen to music that puts you in a good mood. But is there anything in particular that triggers an inspiration?
Sometimes like water. Like if I'm doing a landscape seascape, for sure water is like the first thing that comes to mind. Maybe a sunset secondary, and the type of tree I'm thinking of. But in all honesty, when it comes to my abstract work, sometimes my mind is just like the canvas, blank. So sometimes I may have an idea, and even though I start the execution now, it goes 180. And my initial idea compared to the final product, nowhere close, which is a good thing. And I think, yeah, it's just, I guess in the moment, even though I'm feeling uninspired or not even motivated to paint, sometimes all you have to do is just start. Yeah. So that's basically it. And I really do appreciate this. Is like 1, 2, 3, about 13 times more than I thought it would appear, and I really do appreciate your company. It's been amazing, and I'm happy to see faces that I don't know actually. So that's really good. I hope we could meet afterwards, because I'll stick around, because I can't wait for Roger soon, who just knock it out the park. So I look forward to your speech as well, and thank you so much for coming.